Welcome to the TALKESHI podcast, episode number 8. I hope y'all have been doing good, doing well. I don't know. Yeah, so I missed out pretty much 2 weeks, or at least I left. Last episode was late June. It's almost mid-July now. Damn, why does it feel like such a long time? Anyway, I hope everyone is doing well. Yeah, so I missed out. Or at least I didn't talk about a few things, right, that happened these last 2 weeks. These last 2 weeks have been pretty drama heavy, kind of just, I don't even know how to describe it, just shit that everyone is talking about, like the Naya Rivera situation, and the Jada and Will Smith situation, and obviously like the Tati situation, which I hate to admit that I'm kind of invested in it, mainly because of how this really changes the way we see like those big YouTubers and whatever. But yeah, I also kind of wanted to get low key, kind of self reflective, I guess, and kind of talk about the podcast. I hate how meta this is. I hate how it's kind of like not me being self aware, but me being like, look at the podcast, let's talk about it. Okay, how are we doing? And just like kind of acting like a coach to my own team or something right here on the podcast. But I did kind of want to talk about I don't know where this podcast is going, or where my content in general is going. A few episodes that have not really represented what I wanted to do on this podcast, and hoping I change moving forward. It's probably gonna take I'm probably going to talk about this for a bit before we get into... See, and that in itself is a problem, because I don't want to... First of all, I don't want to be... I don't want this podcast to just be me giving y'all the news. You feel me? I don't want to just sit here and be like, so Jada Smith cheated on Will Smith, and just be like a telereporter or something. I don't want to do that. I started off making this podcast because I wanted to kind of critique media. And, I did want to do kind of like the highlights thing of the week. I kind of wanted to talk about the highlights of the week and things like that. Because those are the kinds of podcasts that I enjoy, personally. But I just, for example, like the second episode, I don't know if y'all noticed, it was just me talking about, Código Civil for, half the episode, pretty much, or more. Which I didn't really want to do because, first of all, it's not that it's a boring topic, because it's very important. I also want to talk about important topics here. I don't want to just make this a podcast where I just talk about the fun stuff and completely ignore that the world is falling and crumbling around us, especially when it's things like El Código Civil that affect me, or Black Lives Matter that affects Black people, or things like that. Those things are important to talk about. I don't, like I said, I don't want to give y'all the news. I don't want to talk about things that y'all know already. I want to give y'all my opinions and things. And I also said at the beginning, or at least I think I did, that if, one whole episode is about, one episode that I did that was pretty interesting, actually. I like how I connected various news to just, the basis being racism here in Puerto Rico. But I want my podcast to kind of be talking about that, and then just talking about if I have to make a whole episode on what the fuck happened to me in the supermarket last week or something like that, then yeah, because that's what this podcast is all about. It's all about fun. Well, it's a conversation. It's not about fun. It's a conversation made fun, and just talking about another thing is, actually, speaking of that, I really wish my content could be made in Spanish, or at least part of it in Spanish, or because that when it comes down to me narrowing my audience or my niche, it's pretty complicated. I don't know where I fall into, because I would love it if I could make content in Spanish. Sorry, and I'm gonna say something about that. I feel like my type of content isn't really I feel like I'm not that I'm the first commentator on YouTube that's Puerto Rican. I don't think I am, but I do talk about specific things that I kind of wanted to bring to the table I kind of wanted to, I love the commentator genre on YouTube. So I really wanted to do just that. I wanted to make a podcast because podcasts are cool and interesting and fun, and I love making them. I love making these every week. But also, you know, the type of things that I talk about here are kind of just like limited to Twitter. I feel like Puerto Rican Twitter is really great at talking about specific subjects that our culture isn't really well versed in. The thing is, I just never saw that in a podcast. There are a few podcasts that are pretty good, but on YouTube specifically, where I talk about specific topics like that, like Puerto Rican media and stuff, that doesn't really exist. So I really wanted to kind of bring that to the table and be like, yeah, there is I'm a Puerto Rican YouTuber YouTuber and podcaster who talks about these current issues and interviews really cool people from Puerto Rico, and that's my audience and things like that. It would be really cool that's the thing, that it would be really cool if my audience was really into that as well. I feel like the people that I want to bring this to aren't interested in this kind of content. They're more interested in just, there's certain people that are just more interested in makeup videos, which is great. There's other people that are just interested in gaming, probably. Like it's very, I feel like I'm just very niche, like in the sense that like rarely any people, like, I don't know if it's just me being like, oh, just very little people like my content. And I'm not talking about my content specifically, I'm talking about my kind of content, my type of content, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of hard to just be like, okay, I want to do this episode in Spanish or this video in English. Like, it's not that it's confusing, it's just like, how do I go by this specifically so YouTube as like an algorithm, as like a platform, takes me seriously? All those things, I have to take them into play. So yeah, it's a really interesting journey. I think critique is just so important, and I feel like in the United States, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of influencers and things like that just don't take criticism well. You can talk about Tana Mojo, and she'll probably take it as hate more than like critique, even when it's important to critique her and her actions. For example, like I'm using her as an example, but you know what I mean? Like, if I make a whole video on Moluco, for example, it's not hate. I mean, I feel a way about the guy, but I feel like that's our issue here. And I've talked about this many, many times, but it's the truth. And like, if I sit here and I make this video, and by the off chance that it goes viral, because I don't think commentary videos or things like that go viral, really. But if by the off chance it goes viral and he watches it or whatever, he's gonna think it's hate, and he's not gonna see that there's valid criticism in what I say. And I feel like that kind of content is also just, that's the thing. I say off chance it goes viral because that shit doesn't go viral, right? Not that I want it to be, I would like it to make numbers, but I don't want it to be like a sensation or whatever. If it does, okay. But I hope y'all are getting my point with that. Like, I just feel like, yeah, there's not a lot of Puerto Rican commentators that do that, and I'm trying to slowly change that, I guess. I don't want to be like the only one and just be like, yes, I am the only one. I don't want to toot my own horn that way. But, ooh, got a little lipstick here. Oh, it's coffee, I think. Or cinnamon. Sorry. I don't want to just sound self-centered and be like, I want to be the only one that does this or whatever. I genuinely want change in that sense. I genuinely want people to see that there is this kind of content, or listen, have their voices be heard as well, because I feel like a lot of people feel the way I feel. So I think it'd be nice for people to have or to share that opinion with someone and be like, yeah, I kind of agree with her, she's right in some things, or not that I'm right, but like, you know what I mean? Or at least people, I wish people in our culture would also understand that. Like, if I talk about Moruko and I talk about all these people, it's criticism, and it's like, it's a different opinion to yours, and maybe you could understand me, and you can, like, because, like, oh my god, in, like, my Komai video, I received, like, 2 comments from, like, old people just being like, era una ridícula, que sé yo, and it's like, yeah, you definitely did not understand what I was trying to do with that video. It's okay, it's whatever, though, right? Anyway... anyway, so yeah, I'm just very, I guess I'm pretty reflective on like the content that I'm making, and I hope that y'all find it interesting, I guess, and I hope that the podcast moving forward is a little more, I hope there's also a little more of me in there. I hope it'd be really cool if I could just start out with like a joke or like something that happens to me throughout the day, and not just like, welcome to the TALKESHI podcast, this just in, Lil Huddy has an STD or something. You know, just I don't want to be the news. That, I guess that's what I'm saying. I want a little more of me and just being like, yeah, so this happened and whatever. And I get a little more personal on the podcast, and yeah, just use the medium as much as I can and sacarle jugo as much as I can. Only Spanish speakers will understand that, and only Puerto Ricans, I guess, because if you're from another country, I feel like you're not going to understand that. Anyway, yeah, let's get into what the fuck happened these 2 last weeks. So my opinion on the Tati thing, which is funny because, like, oh my god, my video on, like, YouTuber entitlement came out like, I'm not even kidding, like, minutes. 1-digit minutes, like, not even 10 minutes. After Shane had uploaded his taking accountability video. Which first of all was whack. I'm not even hating, I'm not jumping on the hate train, I'm just saying, like, I saw it and I was like, yeah, you say that you're not doing this for people to, you know, just say you apologize, but it kind of definitely feels that way. And then the Tati video came out, and that was a doozy, and I don't know, it made me reflect on, like, you know, first of all, let's just clear the air. I don't stand any of them. I can't stand any of them either. No, but, like, I don't, you know, I'm not on anyone's side, I guess. The whole situation's fucked up, and really, Kat Black did a video on, like, it was called Tati Westbrook's Indifference to Racism, and it talked about one very specific point in the video, because, of course, to me, the whole Tati situation is very interesting because, you know, there's gonna be lawyers involved, legal action. That's interesting to me. Like, that is definitely gonna change the paradigm of YouTube and how we do exposed videos and whatever. And to me, even the whole Jada calling Shane out thing is like, you know, to see an actual celebrity, and Ayub, call a YouTuber out for some shit that they did, I think that speaks volumes on the platform, you know. But then Tati, you know, the whole thing with her and Jackie Aina, if y'all don't know, Jackie Aina is basically the reason that people were already talking about Jeffree Star's, like, old racist shit, but she, you know, in a video she did, she mentioned that she was not going to use his products and stuff because of his anti-black remarks. And after that, like, it, you know, it spiraled, it went out on Twitter, like, people were talking about it, like, yeah, like, Jeffree Star is a racist, blah, 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 blah. And apparently she, you know, Jackie Aina and Tati were friends. Tati, after this whole debacle, was about to make a collaboration with Jeffree, and of course that hurt Jackie. And it's kind of like, you know, that speaks volumes on, like, what, you know, she sold out. Tati sold out. She heard a friend of hers, and in the end it came back to bite her in the ass with this whole, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. I don't really think there has to be, like, a whole video made on that, even though I've been following this drama. It's crazy. But yeah, that's that on that. What else? So, lo de Wanda, that's a mess. That happened this week. I don't even know, because I don't want to go back to, like, my old videos where I would explain what happened, even though I kind of did that with Tati right now, but, like, y'all know what I mean. Uh, my opinion on that is that yeah, it's sketchy as fuck that Wanda would, you know, I don't even know how to explain it right now because yeah, I'm getting dumb. Okay, like talked about Tati thing really well versed. This though, I'm just like it's just I do believe that it's just sketchy that Wanda would actually do that, uh, right as like she quit or she was asked to quit. Denise Longo was meant to quit, so this should have been Ricky Renuncia too. Especially since it's been like a year and people are remembering that it's been a year since Ricky Renuncia. So, you know, but I don't know what's happening right now. I hope that there's some shit that goes down. I hope she goes down. Wanda. But yeah, politics just I love talking about it. I know it's very important to talk about. But I also feel like you shouldn't get your news from me. I'll probably link some. I'll probably De La Nada really explains what happens and general detail just so everyone can understand. I needed it to understand, honestly. There's just random ass shit like Kanye running for president. Don't fucking vote for him. I know Biden also sucks. They all suck. They all suck. They all suck. Been really thinking about what it means to vote nowadays. Like, does it really help? Does it really not? Seeing people actively support Joe Biden is kind of like, I'm not saying he's worse, but would you also want to vote for like the worst of the better evil? I don't know. Like you're actively giving your vote to this person. You're actually actively helping this person become president. So I don't know where your morals lie there, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I understand that, but it's morally very hard, But I don't know. I'm not American. I'm not gonna vote for anyone, so that's not really my issue, is it? So Jada and Will, like, apparently I had heard, like, literally around the time, because I actually left Twitter because I'm not ashamed to admit it. I think I have a social media addiction where, like, whenever I get anxious, I just start scrolling on Twitter mindlessly. And, like, in my head, I'm like, I'm not interested in reading any of this. But at the same time, I'm so anxious that I'm just like, anyway, at the same time that this was happening, so I deactivated Twitter. Shane was being called out by Jada, and at the same time it came out that Jada and Will apparently had an open relationship. I don't know what was going on there recently. Like, names came out, like apparently that August guy is friends with Jaden and stuff like that. I don't know what happened there. That's a mess. Apparently Will Smith slept with Charlize Theron and Margot Robbie. Like, I'm just gonna keep scrolling. But yeah, Goya. We can't support Goya anymore. We're really gonna have to. No, I mean, okay, there are better seasonings than their adobo, first of all. I definitely believe that. I feel like, yeah, it's not the only one. It's not the only choice. We can season other ways. But it really goes to show, first of all, like, I didn't even know. Like, I feel like a lot of people didn't know. Which I feel like a lot of people are shaming people for not knowing, but at the same time, it's like a lot of people don't know. That Goya is actually Spanish instead of Puerto Rican, or at least Caribbean, as people thought. Really says a lot that, like, it's people that are profiting from a superficially known Caribbean item are actually Spanish. History repeats itself, doesn't it? But yeah, we can't support them because they support Trump, and it's boycotting is really interesting. Like, if you boycott Goya, a lot of actually Caribbean people will lose their jobs, but at the same time, you don't want to support that one CEO that will probably, he's a billionaire, right? So he'll be fine if we don't buy Goya, but the ones that won't, I don't know. It's a whole issue. I'm really open to discussion about that because, it's kind of like polarizing, but Yeah, and well, not finally. I don't know how we'll end this episode, but Naya Rivera is missing, and that is insane to me. I remember like the day like that people were talking about it, the morning that people were talking about it. Like I woke up and I read it, and I was like, that's insane. Like, I don't know. I guess you never think that this is gonna happen to celebrities. I guess, and it does happen, and I don't know. I don't know the details right now or when this podcast comes out, which is Saturday, but I really hope she's found safe and sound. Uh, this is a person. No matter what has happened in the past or whatever, this is a person. This is a mother to a 4-year-old child, and the way the internet works is like I feel like everything is so desensitized, and people make memes and they call her by her Glee character name. So I feel like people are just like more sensationalized. Well, I'm saying desensitized and sensationalized at the same time. I feel like that works, right? People kind of see that and they're like, "Oh my god," but they kind of don't. They kind of act like they care, but they don't really, and they kind of go like, "Oh my god, Santana is," you know what I mean? Like, I guess it's like a mix of the two. I guess that's an interesting topic. Now that I think of it, I'm gonna write that down. And I guess that's all the news for this week. Uh, yeah, having these conversations is always fun here on this podcast. It's always kind of weird to feel like, I'm talking to the camera, but I'm also gonna be, in a sense, I'm talking to y'all. So, uh, yeah, I guess that's all for this week. I know I couldn't really bring mindful commentary about all the news that happened across 2 weeks because, I like keeping it short on this podcast, but, yeah, I had fun. That's so weird. Just like I had fun on this podcast, and y'all are like bored as shit. I hope y'all still enjoyed, and let's see what next week brings us. I have a few plans for content, but I'm gonna take it pretty slow because I'm gonna be going through some life changes, and I really, I'm gonna create as I go through them, but it's gonna be pretty hard to be consistent. So I made like a schedule. Let's see what happens. I have a lot of content planned out. A lot of makeup, a lot of makeup looks for a very specific series. Hope y'all can figure that one out. Uh, I got a few videos planned out, a few deep dive videos, not my quick rant videos. I hope y'all like those, but I have a few good videos that I have to like edit and actually give it some love and information and all that stuff and research, as opposed to a quick rant. I call them a quick rant, right? A quick take. Those are my new types of videos. I wouldn't call them a series. I just call them like a type of video that I make, which is kind of more ranty and a little more freestyle. Of course, next week we're coming back on the podcast, and yeah, I started a Patreon. I hope soon enough I can figure out the tiers and rewards and stuff like that, but yeah, let's see how that goes. And all right, now this is the official goodbye. I'll see y'all next week.